There's a moment in Sonatine where a group of yakuza are shooting fireworks at each other on a beach. Not guns, they're shooting freaking fireworks. Bottle rockets, chasing each other through the sand, laughing, diving behind rocks. I mean, these guys have killed people. One of them will be dead by the end of the week, and as of now, they're having the time of their lives. Takeshi Kitano doesn't comment on this. He doesn't underline it, he just holds on it. Wide shot, blue sky, the sound of the ocean and grown men screaming with laughter. Sonatine is a yakuza film. It has all the pieces. It has the mob, it has the turf war, the executions, but what makes it one of the strangest and most beautiful crime films ever made is what happens in between the violence, and more precisely, what that in between reveals about the violence itself. First, let's establish how Kitano handles violence, because it's unlike anyone else working in this genre. Most action cinema is built on a rhythm where tension accumulates, music swells, stakes are established. Then comes the release, the fight, the shootout, the confrontation you've been pointed toward for 20 minutes now. Well, Kitano refuses this completely. In Sonatine, violence doesn't arrive on schedule. It erupts. A man is standing in a hallway and then he isn't. A car pulls up and 3 people die before you've registered what's even happening. There's no preparatory music, no slow build, no aftermath where surviving characters pause to absorb what just occurred. The editing cuts everything away and life just continues. And this is actually more disturbing than conventional screen violence. Because the conventional approach, even at its most graphic, gives the viewer a framework, where to brace yourself. Kitano removes that framework entirely, and the result is that every quiet scene carries latent threat. Every moment of stillness could shatter. And the key thing here is, when violence arrives this way, sudden, quickly, it stops feeling exciting. It starts feeling like what it actually is, stupid and final. So that's the violence, and then there's everything else. The middle section of Sonatine takes place on an isolated Okinawa beach, where Murakawa and his men are hiding out, waiting for the word that it's safe to move. This stretch of the film, roughly 40 minutes of a 94-minute movie, is almost entirely composed of play. They do sumo wrestling in the sand, they build a little puppet theater with straw dolls and act out a gunfight with it, laughing at their own skit. They bury each other up to the neck and leave the buried man panicking in the dirt. They play a spinning game that's essentially Russian roulette. If the bottle points at you, a man fires a blank in your face, and they play it over and over, howling every time someone flinches. Kitano shoots all this with the same flat, still camera he uses for the murders. Wide frames, no swelling score, the same visual grammar applied to men playing in the sand as to men being shot in corridors. That's not an accident. There are a few ways to read the beat section. The obvious reading is that it's a contrast, a breather between violent sequences, light before the dark returns. But I think that's too simple, and it undersells what Kitano is actually doing. These men aren't playing despite their circumstances, they're playing because of them. When you don't know which day will be your last, where the future is genuinely opaque, the present moment becomes the only available territory. You can't plan, you can't build towards anything. All you can do is exist in the now as fully as possible. And what does full existence look like, stripped of ambition and future and consequence? It looks like this. It looks like chasing someone with a bottle rocket. It looks like laughing until you can't breathe. There's something Buddhist in this reading, an accidental arrival at the truth that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. This moment is all there is. The beach forces that truth on these men in a way their ordinary lives, full of plans and hierarchies and obligations, never could. The playfulness isn't escapism, it's clarity. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Because Murakawa, Kitano's character, the boss, the center of the film, doesn't fully participate in any of it. He watches the men play. He smiles sometimes. He joins in occasionally with a kind of gentle, remote affection for the whole thing. But he's never really in it. He's already somewhere else. There's a line he delivers, flat, quiet, devastating. When you're scared of dying all the time, you reach a point where you hope you die soon. This isn't posturing. He's not performing darkness for effect. He's simply reporting an internal fact the way you'd report the weather. Murakawa exists in a third space. He's beyond the violence. It's no longer frightening or exciting him. And he's beyond the play. He can't access the moment fully enough to lose himself in it. He's in some other space. And what Kitano understands, and what makes this more than a standard genre film, is that there is where violence leads. Not to excitement, not to power, not to anything glamorous. It leads here, to a man watching his friends play on a beach, smiling faintly, already gone. The scene that crystallizes the whole film is that Russian roulette segment. Kitano holds on the game longer than is comfortable. What started as a release, a joke, a way of mocking death, starts to curdle slightly. The men keep playing, the gun keeps going off, and nobody stops. At some point you realize this game and the real thing are not as far apart as the laughter suggested. And right there, that's the whole film. The play and the violence aren't opposites. They're not even contrasts. They're the same impulse. The need to feel something, to be in the body, to be present, just expressed through different instruments. The men playing sumo on the beach and the men shooting each other in the final act are doing the exact same thing. The stakes are just different. Sonatine was made in 1993. It was a box office failure. Kitano reportedly bought back the rights himself. The year after it came out, he got on a motorcycle drunk and nearly died in an accident that reshaped half his face. He said later that making Sonatine had been kind of a rehearsal, a way of working through something he couldn't work through any other way. I believe him, because the film doesn't feel like a director playing with genre conventions. It feels like someone using cinema to think through a genuine question. If violence is meaningless, and it is, what makes anything meaningful? The answer Kitano finds tentatively, imperatively, lit by fireworks on a beach, is this. Exactly this. The moment of play, the laughter, and the men in the sand. Not as a solution, not as redemption, just as evidence that between the darkness, there is this small, bright, useless, irreplaceable thing, and then it ends.